How you doing, YouTube? It's right now it's midnight where I'm at, and I just got back from our Christmas party. I actually kind of had a thought rolling around in my head, and I thought, because I don't have any actual paperwork or writing on how I'm going to build this bench, but I did want to point a few things out in case if you're ever in the further of somebody giving you some steel to work with. Now, this here is about 32 pieces, 30-some pieces of square tubing. It's not very thick walled, and I have already taken and cleaned all of these. Now, some of these here on this side are the shorter pieces, and these on average are about 40, anywhere from 40 to 42 and a half inches long. And these are of about the same. I mean, it's just an average. Now, some of these are longer, some of these are shorter, but nonetheless, they're all rusted. So, I mean, to be able to weld them together, you're going to have to clean them up, things like that. Now, I had a friend of mine drop these off, and he dropped them off. He wanted a bench built for his garage. He wanted it 9.5 foot long, and he wanted it 42 inches high, 41 inches high, and he intends on putting a wood top on top of the surface to make the deck for it. Now, this is a wheel that I pulled off of my grinder after beating off all the rust of these. I just wanted to point out, I mean, not only that wheel, but there were several others as well. And this one is another wheel that I have pulled off. The wheel that's on the grinder is brand new. I've used it twice, or at least used it on 2 different sticks. Now, I've thrown 5 of those away now. I think it's 5 of those away. And what I need to do now is I've got to, or what's left over after said friend built his bench, I built his bench, any which way. So the steel that's left over, he doesn't want anything to do with. Now, I really didn't want much to do with this when I first got it, but at that time I was in a different shop, different garage. So now that I have all this left over, I'm thinking I can build a bench with it. Now, what I'd like to do is pretty much eradicate, I'm going to keep my toolbox, but I'd like to maybe relocate it. And then the red box here, I would like to do away with as well. I'd like to extend my workbench to right about the edge of this window and all along this to the door. One thing that I'm really wanting to do here is I want to keep enough room for my lathe, enough room for my drill press, and maybe my lathe box, which has bits of tooling and things like that for my lathe. I don't want to stress myself when I come in this door that I'm going to hit my knees or bump my leg on anything. So I really don't want it right next to the door, although at the same time, I'm used to that, so I don't think it would bother me that much. Now, on the other hand, I would like to, because I have a shelf back here that kind of holds a few items, I would like to build the bench thin enough that it holds the lathe and the toolbox, along with maybe a little bit of workspace. And then from there, I'd like to put a backing on it. I want a backing on it. I think I bought some pegboard a while back. I think I'm going to use the pegboard and stretch it up. But I also wanted a shelf at the top. And I thought, well, if I'm going to have a shelf at the top, I might as well have maybe a few cabinets up there. And then down at the bottom, I have a bunch of stuff down here at the bottom. I'd really like to store my welder out of the way so that if I am grinding or anything like that, dusting anything off, sweeping the garage, things like that, that my welder doesn't just get covered in dust. It is important or crucial somewhat that the welder doesn't fill up with a bunch of dust. Once the components in that get dirty, my wire's not going to feed the same. It's not going to weld the same. It's going to be a little slower, things like that. I also do need a little bit of workspace, hammering, things like that, screwing things in. I've got a few ideas on how I'm wanting this workbench to fan out. And what I'd like to do also is find a way that I can remove this, my steel rack, which holds my random square tubing. You got solid square here. You got some round tubing. You got bits and pieces of angle and things like that. So what I want to do with this space here, I'd actually like to put my red toolbox. Now the red toolbox holds most of my mechanic tools. So my larger wrenches, my crescent wrenches, socket wrenches, things like that. As far as my smaller tools, my black toolbox holds all that. So I'd like to keep that separate. And in doing so, I need to keep room for the bench to have the black toolbox or to hold it. And then as well, I'd like to move my red toolbox over here to this corner or in between my garage doors. And then I'd like to have my workspace just a complete blank workspace. I suppose I could tolerate a toolbox standing behind it or sitting behind it. I don't think that would be a major problem. I've dealt with that in the past. It wasn't that big of a deal. However, I think at 30-something inches is a little too thick for a lathe that's only 10 inches deep or thick, however you want to say it. So I want to reduce down the size of the bench for those items, and then I'd like to almost find a way so that I can keep this metal stored inside the bench, not for any reason. I'm not concerned at all about the dust being on it, the rust, maybe not so much. Most of the stuff came from my old garage. My old garage, it leaked a lot of moisture back, especially once I put heat inside of it. If it snowed outside and I turned the heater on, like I have on now, that garage, it would rain inside there. Anytime it did rain or the snow melted, it would literally almost just shy of rain inside the garage as well. So I'm trying to throw about 6 different ideas that I'd like to do inside this workbench into one, and I'm not really sure how it's going to pan out. But I did want to point out a few things. Now, granted, I'm going to be able to build said workbench for just about practical reasons. This didn't cost me anything as far as this. Now, I did have to buy the wire wheels to brush this rust off of these steel sections here. And I'm to the point now, it's just about cost me, I mean, aside from time alone, it is just about literally cost me $150. Now, for each one of these wheels, I've picked up 2 sets now, so that's 6 of these for about $41. Now, 6 sets, I'm already through 3, 4, 5, and I've got 1 left. I mean, granted, I'm still going to use the 2 that are unburned or unused. I've already been through this much. Not to mention the fact the 18, I think 24 sticks I've already been through that I used to build the previous bench for the guy that dropped the steel off. I just wanted to point out that sometimes it's great to get some free stuff, but with this free stuff comes a cost. And at this point, this cost was in fact, it would have been cheaper right now for me to go down and buy the steel measure everything out, cut it, weld it, build it, and be done. As versus now, not only do I have to beat the rust off of these, the cost of the wire wheel for each wire wheel. Now, those also came with the Tiger Paw, the sanding discs and whatnot. But to build everything in here, it's cost me, I think at this point, it's cost me more than what the bench may or may not be worth. Now, I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure that this bench is built to my specifications, to my needs, and to my suit. But in the end, I sincerely think that it cost me more to beat the rust off of these and turn them to these versus just going out and buying steel. Just buying it from a shop, calling it good, being done. It's a way you don't have to worry about the rust. You just cut your stick, weld it, and be done. And at this point, I'm kind of heartbroken at the cost of this. So, any which way, thought I would kind of just point that out. I mean, if you're ever looking for a bench, you're needing one built, I don't know. With any material that you're working with, there's a cost, and that cost on this one, I'm eating a lot of it. So, till next time, folks. Merry Christmas. Stay safe. See you again next time.